So one of the greatest features of Flash is that it's extensible, which means that you can create your own tools to put into the authoring tool to basically to automate it or to make things easier for you. In this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how you can create your own custom panel inside of Flash CS3. And what we're going to make it do is, with a simple click of a button, it's going to completely set up a new Flash movie. So there's certain tasks that I always do when I create a new Flash movie. I rename the first layer to actions, unlock it. I set the frame rate to 30 frames per second. I modify the dimensions of the stage. And then if I'm feeling organized, I'll go ahead and create some folders inside of the library for things like graphics, sound, video, etc. So we're going to make a simple panel that's going to do all of that for us with a simple click of a button. So I've made a panel recently that I put on my blog called Event Generator, and we can see it down here at the bottom right. So this allows you to select the movie clip on the stage and automatically generate AS3 event code. So we're going to create it in a similar way that I created this one. So we're going to create a new Flash document, and I'm calling this panel Movie Setup. Now you want to make sure that you name it exactly how you want the panel to appear. So here we can see Event Generator, and I have a space in between, so you actually have to name your FLA file movie space setup.fla, and this is how it will appear once it becomes a panel. Okay, so I'm going to set up this document, rename the first layer to actions, and lock it. And for the size of the panel, this is going to be a really simple panel. So I'm just going to make it 200 by 100. And then if you want to, you can make your panel look any way you want, but if you want it to kind of blend in with the built-in panels, you can use the background color from those panels. So I'm going to come down to background, and then with my eyedropper, I'm just going to come into the properties panel and click. So now my background of my custom panel is going to be the same as the other ones that come with Flash CS3. Okay, I'm going to create a new layer above that, and I'm going to call it button. And now I'm just going to use one of the Flash CS3 components. I'm just going to drag out a button component to the stage. Under parameters, I'm just going to call it setup movie for a label. And as for an instance name, I'm just going to call this setup. Okay, so now I'm actually going to use the custom panel that I made previously, which is the event generator. So to use that, you just highlight your item, and I want to generate a click event, so I'm going to check this off and then choose copy to clipboard. So now if I come to my actions panel, let me open that up, all I have to do is paste, and I've now generated that click event handler. So you can see how useful these kind of custom panels can be. Okay, so the basic process that you need to follow in order to communicate with the Flash authoring tool and to automate tasks and things like that is you have to call a function called execute. Now to this function, you need to pass in a string of JSFL code, which is the JavaScript API for controlling the Flash authoring tool. So I'm just going to leave this empty for now. So what I like to do is actually to create that string separately, and I'm just going to create a variable called JSFL, and it's going to be a string. And then what I'll do is I'll just pass that JSFL variable to the execute function. Okay, so now obviously you're going to be wondering, how do I find out about that JavaScript API? Well, if you go to the help files under extending Flash, under here is where you can find all the documentation for the available things you can do. If you come under objects, You can see there's a whole host of objects, including one for actions panel. So if you want to create a snippets, a panel where you could insert stuff into the actions panel, you can do that. But the best way actually is to let Flash kind of help you out with this. So I'm going to hide the actions panel, and I'm going to open up the history panel. So I'm going to go to other panels, history. Okay, so now what I want to do is I'm just going to create a new document, and I'm going to do the things that I would normally do to set up my movie. And then what I'm going to be able to do is select those steps from the history panel, and it will automatically generate that JSFL code for me. So I'm going to create a new Flash document. Okay, now I'm going to go through the steps that I normally would do. So I'm going to rename the first layer to actions. I'm going to lock that layer. I'm going to come down, and I'm going to make my movie 600 by 400, which is what I usually do as a default. I'm going to change the frame rate to 30 frames per second. And I'm going to go to the library, and I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call the folder graphics. Create another new folder for sounds, another one for video, and another one for movie clips. Okay, so now we can see in the history panel all the steps that I've done since I created this new Flash document. Now I'm going to select all of these, right click, and choose copy steps. So this is essentially going to convert all of these steps into JSFL code. So now you can see I get an alert that says the items marked with a red X can't be copied, essentially. And that's okay. We'll just fill in the blanks ourselves in a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and copy anyway. I can close the history panel now, and then I'm going to come back to our custom panel. So for right now, I'm just going to come under here and paste in that JSFL code. Okay, so now what we can do is we can start to parse through this and just pick out the pieces that we want to use. Okay, so here we can see the JSFL command for renaming the selected layer to actions. So I definitely want that. Then we can see down here is where it's actually setting the layer to be locked. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. I'm going to come up to my JSFL string and paste it in. Now you want to make sure that you don't have any line breaks in this string. So I need to remove that line break. And anywhere that you have double quotes, you're obviously going to have to escape them. I don't think we'll have to do it in this actual instance. But so here are the two commands. First, to name that first layer to actions, and then to lock it. Okay, so now down here we can see that the modifying the actual stage dimensions and the frame rate didn't get copied over. So that's something that we're going to have to find the JSFL commands ourselves. But you can see here it did generate these new folder commands. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to paste that in. And again, we're going to have to remove any line breaks here. Okay, so here it gave a command to create a new folder, but it didn't actually carry over the names that we gave them. So that's all we're going to need to use from this. So I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of this. And now we can start looking into the documentation. So let's first look at that new folder method. So I'm going to go back to help. Now this was in the library object. And we can look at the library.newFolder method. Now here you can see that we can actually pass in a folder path, which is a string, which is the name of the folder. So what we can do is come back to these new folder calls, and then just in single quotes, we're just going to put in the names of those folders again. So I want one called graphics.